The days are longer, the calendar is filling up, and I want to feel as good as this beautiful summer weather. That's why I've been loving Groons. It's one daily pack of gummies that covers my greens, vitamins, and minerals, and even has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber. So I don't need to juggle a complicated wellness routine on top of everything else. They taste amazing. They're easy to toss in my bag on the go. Plus, they're vegan, gluten free, and HSA, FSA eligible for reimbursement. Save up to 52% off with promo code podcast at gruns.co. That's code podcast at gruns.co.
Hi, everybody. This is Dawn Mitchell, and welcome to Dawn of Sports. It is still a heavy time here in Minneapolis. We know that, all in the Twin Cities, all across Minnesota and the country, quite frankly. So sometimes we look to arts and entertainment to kind of lift our spirits, and that's what we're going to do today. Talking to my friend and just a local artist and an all-around great guy. I think you'll laugh. You'll want to see this show. It is called Ball Boys, an 80s tennis musical. And Jim Mahoney is going to explain it all to us coming up.
Another great guest brought to us by Dawn Mitchell of Fox 9. This is TalkNorth.com. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. We want to thank our other sponsors, Lexus of Wayzata and Maplewood, and Minnesota Masonic Charities. Great to have Jim on the show. If you're new to Dawn's show, she has this type of guest all the time, really cool people. I've gotten to meet just so many great people and run into so many great stories because of Dawn's show. So thanks to Dawn. Thanks to Jim. Dawn, take it away.
All right. Well, Jim Mahoney, Jim and I go way back to when I first moved to Minnesota, having these kindred spirits from a little East Coast familiarity. So I kind of feel like I have a brother here in the Twin Cities every time we meet up and we chat, which is hilarious. So Jim, before we get into the musical, I just want to thank you for being on here, and always thank you for being a light. Every single time I see you, I think I end up laughing and chatting, and like I just have a bounce in my step every time. And I think we all need that today. So thank you for joining us this week.
Well, you're too kind, Dawn. Thank you. And usually I'll introduce, whenever I see you, I'll bring up the most obscure Bruins goalie or something about Dennis Oil Can Boyd that people need to know, but I just can't help myself. Yeah, just those obscure Boston references that people live and die by. So, but no, it was wonderful to be included. Thank you.
So for the people listening, tell us a little bit about your background. And I know we'll get into this musical and I'll set it up a little bit coming up, but just how you're kind of like, your heart is in the East Coast, but also very much here in Minnesota. Just give the background to the people listening.
Sure thing. Yeah. So I'm an educator, and I found myself in the Twin Cities through the independent school world. So I had attended, school all through the East. I'm actually a New Hampshire native, live free or die. So went to school there, went to college there, moved to Boston for about 5 years. And then while I was working at a boarding school north of Boston in New Hampshire, I got recruited to come to the Twin Cities to work at a wonderful school here as a dean. I thought I'd be here for 3 to 5 years and make my way back to the old country. But 20 years later, we have no intentions of moving back there. This is our home. And Minneapolis and Twin Cities in general has just been amazing. Our kids have grown up here. We've loved it. So I keep the strong ties to the hometown cuisine and the connections to the Patriots, which I'll reserve from mentioning because I know we're insufferable. We're back 6 years in the wilderness, but yeah. And so through my work as an educator, I teach writing in addition to a number of other things, and really have always loved music, loved writing. I worked as a disc jockey during college in Australia and Colorado. That's a different podcast, but ultimately was really inspired by a life story that my brother and I experienced as ball kids at a tennis tournament in North Conway, New Hampshire, called the Volvo International. And so during COVID, my brother helped me learn more about the tips and tools of the musical theater world, which I knew barely anything about, and have been on a quest since then, which has arrived to where we are today.
Oh my God.
Relatively
I love
succinct, but
I love the journey though, because very much a kindred to mine, where you're recruited to come here, you're not quite sure, you're new in the land, and then you're like 20 years later. For me, it's 21. I got here in 2004. It's your
right,
home, and
right.
I just think that's just awesome. And when you and I first saw each other to talk about this, and you're explaining the ball boys, I remember the Volvo tournaments, Virginia Slims tournaments. I actually worked some of those when I was behind the scenes in college. So the tennis world is always fascinating for me. I also did a show called On Court with the Stars. It was me and Leif Shiras. He's a former
Hmm.
doubles pro. And just the tennis world in and of itself is just a unique thing. But when you talk about the ball boys, and we always like love them, right? You either don't see them or they're like the Secret Service, right? You really pay attention to them when something goes wrong, right? You don't want them to be the focus. So let me just set the scene here. It's Ball Boys, and this is from your website, and I love it. Is a comedy musical set in New Hampshire. It's a ski town during the 1983 Cork International Tennis Tournament. A scruffy local ball kid, Denny Bean, battles his quote unquote mass hole, which, if you don't know what that is, for any of you in the Midwest, that is what New Yorkers specifically, but now many people that don't like Massachusetts call us, that we're from there. They call us massholes.
Hmm.
Masshole rival Lexington Duxbury, for the love of Bitsy Whitby, whose ultra rich father schemes to move the tournament to Connecticut. So that's just the beginning of it. There's more in depth. I laugh because Lexington Duxbury is a character. Two of the towns I grew up in Massachusetts, one was Duxbury. This
Yes.
just makes me laugh. So if you're from Massachusetts, it makes you laugh. But I think everybody can relate to this and just kind of laugh at it. How did you keep a straight face with your brother coming up with this whole idea?
Well, growing up in a small town and having really this circus come to the Mount Washington Valley was amazing. And so it was really a foundational experience. Jimmy Connors would be walking into the coffee shop. They had a big softball game and Yvonne Lendl couldn't swing the bat right. And there was just an element of proximity to these major stars. I mean, think of tennis in the 80s, it was enormous. So then to, have this tournament, unfortunately, it did move away. And our show imagines a world where, I won't spoil it too much, but maybe the ball kids can rise up in an 80s montage and save the tournament. You'll have to come and see it to learn. But there's but just to that end of like making something in that 80s spirit that isn't sentimental or nostalgic either. Like we want this to not just be for people who grew up in, along Route 95 or Route 16, but for anyone who recognizes a good love story, can enjoy the music of 1983. It's all original music, but with a lot of different allusions and nods to some of the great music that came out in that era. And yeah, and it's a comedy. So, different cats get up into trees and we have to bring them back down. And our band and singers have been incredible. So much of the joy in this is making it with other people. But yeah, as we were starting it, just coming up with names and premises. I mean, there's a whole other world that just doesn't fit of the players and just different things we've had to cut along the way. The stoner ski town chef who is like a ski bum and has to work 8 jobs, like he got written out of it recently. Chef Jeff Beaujolais, RIP. So we just, these people are based on real people from like Boston, the ski towns, but I think it's relatable across the board. We hope it is.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. I just wanted to follow up on this. How do you come up with the names?
Yeah, so part of naming to me, and I teach, literature, right? So sometimes I'll be brought right out of a fictional piece if the name is absurd or too on the nose. You know what I mean? You'll see
Like
this in
that one,
TV sometimes.
Beaujolais.
Yeah, Chef Beaujolais. I mean, you get a sense of what his deal is, right? Like he's just working to ski. Like he's not gonna do anything but that. So some of the names are trying to capture that spirit of the time and the era. Like even Denny Bean, right? Like he's our main protagonist. He's a country kid from New Hampshire, and he has a best friend sidekick whose name is Stubby Shackelford. And those are just two kids I grew up with. Just mix the names
Stop
around,
it.
right?
Those are
Like,
their real people?
I mean, their names like they're portmanteaus, right? There's a
Yeah,
Stubby
yeah.
Heath and Jimmy
Oh.
Shackelford, and you just take the two, and all of a sudden you've got a kid who likes to operate heavy machinery. So,
Uh,
and is not a good fit for the ball kid world. So, yeah, that's part of the joy of it, it's just creating a universe and then setting it to music and putting the jokes in. And I had no idea how complex it was to assemble a musical, but part of it is the invention of the characters. Part of it's, bringing story that's actually relatable and causal, but so much of it too is just having fun in their world and seeing how they interact with each other. And they're teenagers, a lot of them, the ball kids are. So it's a world I know well as a teacher.
Now let's take care of the people who take care of us very quickly. More to come with Jim Mahoney and Dawn Mitchell. We do want to remind you we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio. We'd also like to thank Lexus, Wyzetta, and Maplewood. Thanks to another great Minnesota company, always doing great work, Minnesota Masonic Charities. Back to Dawn and Jim.
All right. Well, thank you, Jim. And now to the other Jim. What I love when it comes to musical comedies specifically is how character driven they are. So not only is it the ridiculous names, that people can really appreciate, like for me, like many might not appreciate Lexington Duxbury, but I do very much, knowing that there's two towns that I know very well. But just when you establish those characters and their narratives and how you weave it together. And everyone always will be like, they always have a favorite character. Whenever you're watching even a play or a musical, but especially musicals, there's always one character that captures the hearts, usually the comedic one. And people are just laughing every time it comes on the stage. Did you have that in mind when you were writing these characters, or did it just happen?
I think it's a combination of both, Don. I think, trying to assemble a group of ball kids, right, who are comprised of both the local kids who are usually shut out of being on, USA Network, which they were, by the way, and then all the condo kids from Boston who were, the good-looking prep school kids who knew what squash was. They were the ones who typically made it on screen. So, drawing from some of those influences. But at the end of the day, any good story, you have to care about the people in it and their journeys. And I think about being 17, 18 years old, or really at any age, right? Like the things that matter most to us and what, it has to be love and what is your home and protecting your home. But I don't think it was any different for me at 17 than it is at my age now, in some ways even more intense, right? Because there's so much unwritten in your life. So to try to access those big feelings and set them to music has been the great challenge and wonderful reward of this whole project. And, just assigning in different modes, right? So we have a character in the show who has emerged over time, and her name is Murph. And not to, again, spoil too much about it, but Murph is a gay closeted kid in 1983, and she cannot be who she wants to be. And, I hate to say this, and it's something we lived through, right? But to be out and gay in the 80s would have been a very difficult road, to say the least. So Murph has emerged as the heart and soul of the show. And so she has a song at the top of Act 2, which is called Gay in 83, where she makes her way through her kind of identity and what she's holding back, what she can't express, but also what she's feeling. And of course, she's the best athlete of all the Paul kids, by the way. And just to see her journey in it, right? Because she's kind of in between these worlds. And, so she finds her own path as well. So some of the journeys are the comical ones, like Stubby and these other, Lexington Duxbury, who sounds like he is, right?
Yeah.
But then you get into the heart of it too. And someone like Murph, like we've seen that emerge over the different drafts and workshops we've done. She's the beating heart of the show. I mean, she really drives it forward. So in a way, we've been wrestling even with the title because Ball Boys is slightly misleading. Really, our protagonists are both young women. So, but I guess in the end, we just want there to be a story people can enjoy, but also, feel as well. This is a piece that's trying to do a bunch of things in that way. But at the end of the day, does it make people laugh? Do they feel things? Do they enjoy it? And they can get dressed up in 80s tennis gear, which we've had a few occasions. It's starting to get a little Rocky Horror Picture Show at our productions, which is, you've got the headbands, the short shorts. You should see some of the gear people show up.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, when you say that and you're talking about Murph, and I just all of a sudden I had like this flash. I just think that nowadays, whether you're Gen Z, millennial, boomers, everyone is like loving Gen X right now. or they're trying to hate Gen X and can't find a reason to, and then the quips replying on social media
Oh
about,
yeah.
okay, like move over, who's going to tell them? Like that stuff, I think it just kind of hits the nail on the head. Like that's perfect timing to kind of bring this generation to life. Don't you think?
I do. And, it really was a pre-digital time, like I knew that when we were kids, and my brother and I were kind of the low-level ball kids, and we never quite got to what we would call the show, which was the main draw. We were just a little young. We got to work what was called the wives tournament. And a player called Johan Kriek's wife had this python she would bring every summer. I mean, it was a cavalcade of randomness, but, we were the low-level ones. But, thinking about what it was like when there were if you made plans, you met people, and if they weren't there, you didn't know why, and you see this in movies and sitcoms from the 80s and 90s, right? How much of them are built on like missed answering machine messages or, missed connections, things that now, for better and often worse, right, our young people don't know of that. So I think there's some element to that we all seek. And I think especially when times are as overwhelming, and I think just how would I even describe right now? It's hard to find any words, but no, to get into a situation where you're really in the world you're in, right? You're in the present. You could be bored. You could be, just in a space that you had no way of, escaping the awkwardness through your cell phone or whatever. There's something in that that's real. And I think a lot of us who grew up with that, we see the world we're in now and how digitized and how algorithmed out so many people are. And I think there was a time when you could have a lot more hand in making your own identity. And this is a world where we try to see that and explore it.
Is it hard that it's taken you years to kind of bring this baby to the stage? Or was it kind of like a labor of love and you're like, wow, this is faster than I thought? I mean, the whole process can be daunting.
It is daunting. Yeah, I would say a little bit of both, but more of the recognizing that making a musical is involving so many different components of art. And I think that's what makes this medium so fascinating. As someone who teaches, novels and poetry, and I've written poetry and essays, and have, worked with all kinds of super talented students, helping them find their voice. I was really seeking a medium that might capture what I was going for. And I was in a band with my brother Sean, and we made an album called The Mahonies. As my friend said, it's a million seller. There's a million in the cellar.
Really? I gotta hear this now.
There's a million in the cellar. Get it? There's not. It didn't sell very well.
Yeah. But I gotta hear it.
Well, it's out there. You can find it, but maybe not our most shining work. But you sort of try to find what it is, and working and growing. But making a musical is arduous, and you have to be willing to be told no. Running into different roadblocks and challenges, and bringing it to life. It takes a lot of iterations. And what I've been lucky to find is a really great partner. My brother Sean lives in Telluride, Colorado, and he is by profession a musical theater writer, and he's done some amazing things. But he's farther away, so I've been able to build it here with a team led by David Salmela, who is part of this new standards operation, which includes Chan Poling and John Munson. Some of the really great community music leaders of the Twin Cities have helped us grow this show. And then the more actors and choreographers and musicians we bring in, the more fun it gets to be. So I think it is a labor of love. You start at the beginning and you're not sure where it's going to go, but we've always believed in the premise of the project. And I think as it's gotten as it's grown, it's gotten more full and more people are having a hand in it. So yeah, it's definitely been a journey, but now we feel the momentum is really clicking, which is super exciting.
Where can people go see it now, and how can they get tickets?
Sure thing. So we're in the process now. We just did what's called a 29 hours. So downtown at the Open Book Performance Hall, we put on 2 presentations of the show in its most recent form, with a group of absolutely amazing actors and musicians. Since then, what we've done is shift to look to the summer. So our vision for this summer, and I think you'll appreciate this, Dawn, knowing this part of the world, we want to put it up out east because our long-term goal is to make this a touring production that visits tennis tournaments. That's our vision.
Great, great.
So to take it to the people who might enjoy it most. But our plan this summer is we're raising money to bring it to New England, so specifically north of Boston. So we're looking to partner, and we're actively in conversations with some theaters up along the route from Boston to North Conway, New Hampshire, where we're definitely going to put it up, and working with folks in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and Gloucester, and some of those areas to get some versions out there. But in the meantime, in mid-April, and I'll be able to share more of this very shortly. It's just not quite official yet, which I apologize, but we're going to be doing the newest version of the show in mid-April here in the Twin Cities. So our website is,
great.
yes, and we're going to have costumes and choreography and some staging and these tennis balls that are slightly too big so that when you muff them, it looks even funnier. Because some of the ball kids are more skilled than others. Yes, so it's probably going to be, I would say, not even probably, mid-April. We'll be putting it up somewhere in the Twin Cities, most likely downtown, and there'll be more information about that through our website and also on our mailing list. So if folks are interested in learning more about the show, they can visit ballboysmusical.com or join our mailing list, where we'll send non-annoying periodic updates about progress.
I love that. Non-annoying, periodic. We will not
Periodic.
flood your inbox.
I promise.
So I also want people to know that you're also doing things other than this. I'm like, I don't know how you balance your time, but since I know you and I follow your socials, you're also the co-host of the Morningside After Dark. Can you explain to people what that is, which that also involves your songwriting and storytelling? And you've been doing that for a while, over a decade.
Yes. Yeah, 14 years, believe it or not. We just had started our 14th year. That's been an unbelievably fun experience too. So the Morningside neighborhood, kind of nestled between St. Louis Park, Edina, and Minneapolis, is this, it's really unique. There's a creative energy there that's something. So at the time, a friend of mine called Rebecca Bell Sorensen, who is another Northeast transplant. She's from Gloucester, Massachusetts, but doesn't have the accent. I'll point that out. She's from Gloucester. Her mother has the accent like my mother does from Lynn, Mass. But she and I and another friend of ours, whose name is Lori Lindeen, thought, you know what, let's get all these talented people together and see what happens. So we do an evening 2 or 3 times a year at the Morningside Hills Community Church, where we have a theme. So our theme for what was this past Monday night was what we carried, or what I carried. And then the next show is what I let go.
Oh,
so
wow.
we build these themes. And so musicians, poets, storytellers will align with that theme or answer to that theme as freely as they choose to. And the night is really something special. It's about the warmest room you could imagine as a performer. It's in the basement of this church, but that belies the community energy. It really is a special night. And so it's been this kind of little gem over the years. And we've had some amazingly talented people join us. And always there are revelations and people whose voices are new to be heard from all over the Twin Cities. So highly recommend Morningside After Dark if you've never attended. And Don, we'll have to get you in there too. It's quite an evening.
Oh, that just sounds fantastic. And I love it. When, like you said, it's in the basement or whatever. I love that's when people feel free, you know, safe. They can just kind of be themselves. And there are so many creative, talented people, as we all know, in arts and writing and everything here in Minnesota, specifically Minneapolis, the Twin Cities. We've known that obviously for eons, but just to have them also having another outlet for it that doesn't have to be like this huge monumental, you know, like event. They don't have to go to First Avenue or something like that. They can really come together in a community and express who they are. It's even more than, you know, I've always heard people across the country have these open mic nights at bookstores and stuff like that. But this is even more. These are like incredibly talented people that just pour their heart and soul into what they're singing, saying, writing, doing, right?
Absolutely. And I think it comes back to what you said, Don, at the top of the show about, you know, where arts can bring us when we're in times of crisis and overwhelm. And to see what our artist community, to really look at our artistic community in the Twin Cities is to see so many different perspectives and people who really make this their life's calling. And, you know, to have that, you know, kind of commitment to it, but also the ability to share and express things that we can't always put voice to. That's part of why I teach, right? And that's part of what I try to help young people see in whether it's literature or film or whatever's on the syllabus, is to think about what you take away from it and bringing voice to things that maybe transcend what words could do. There's a lot happening right now here. And so I think about, excuse me, the ways that we can engage that. I mean, Bruce Springsteen just wrote a song called Streets of
I
Minneapolis,
know.
which is quite moving, right? And then just to even escape and to be in a place where you can gather, that saying, drink then pour. Like you have to be full in order to help others. And so many people are helping so many good people out here that having arts be a part of that, I think, is vital. So it's something I'm really proud and honored to be a small part of here in this amazing community.
What was Monday night like, considering everything going on here in the cities?
Oh my gosh, no, it was wild. So we had a completely full house. We had opened up. We typically you'll donate proceeds from the night. It's a free event, morning set after
Mhm.
dark, but we also want to give when we can. So during COVID, we ran some events where we supported Twin Cities musicians through First Avenue, who had a fund, and that was able to get to musicians who couldn't perform. And on this night, we collected diapers and baby items as well as food. And I'll send you a picture. I mean, the entire front of this venue was filled with gear. I mean, we couldn't believe it. It was almost like you had to navigate around it. But the
Wow.
performers were amazing. We had a couple, a Venezuelan couple, play guitar and sing to do a cold open in the show. And right away, we were all feeling that sense of community, but also loss and grief. And that's part of what makes art, right? It lets us contend with those feelings while hoping to transcend them too. And so by the end of the night, we had poets, we had some incredibly talented people who folks would know, and some who are newer. But the most moving, I would say, was a performer named Sam Wilbur, and he's a singer-songwriter here in the Twin Cities. He tours regionally. He's really talented. He's a teacher at North High School, and one of the students from his first hour class had been, taken away with his dad and uncle. And he,
Mm.
shows up the next day and that student's not there. So he wrote a song to support him. And to feel that room as he sang that, so he told the story first and sang the song. I mean, I'm still getting chills thinking about what that
Wow.
must be like for that boy, his family, his community, and that school. And the bravery it took to bring it that to our room and then to see people respond. So I'll have to follow up. If you have a website, I can give you the info to support that family's journey. But yeah, so I think that's part of what made that night really moving. It
Oh,
was
that's
many other things
incredible.
too. But yeah, it hits home, right? We're all experiencing this in a lot of different ways. So, but to be able to, he wrote a song that worked that, and he had a violin player playing with him. I mean, we actually have video of it too. It was pretty great and also really hard.
I would love to see that and to be able to share
Yes,
all of that.
I'll send it your way.
Um,
Yeah.
and when you bring up that music and poetry, writing, everything, but the arts can express, and you can sit with those feelings while you're still processing the feelings like that. It's one of those things that I know specifically for myself. And over the past 3 weeks, sometimes on your days off, you don't realize you're just sitting on the couch for like 15 minutes, like staring into space. Like your brain is just processing. It doesn't even know what it's trying to process.
No,
It's just been
no.
a lot.
It's been a lot. Yeah. Last night, I will confess, I watched the whole of Super Bowl 49. I had
You
taped it.
did
This was
not.
Patriots Seahawks. Yes, I did. I had forgotten how deep a hole we had gotten ourselves into. And so, and again, it was just brain off time. But yeah, that was the way I, last night anyway, it was seeing Malcolm Butler make that cut. It will never get old. But no, yeah, like you said, there's just no real good way to do this other than to reach out for help and find support from friends. And sometimes too, yeah, you just have to just be in it and be down or just shut it off. So I'm with you.
Well, I do appreciate that your brother, your director, that you are all working on it. His name's David, right? You're the composer and director.
Yeah, David
Uh,
Sommel is the music director. Yes,
yeah,
yes, and
Samala,
composer.
the three of you that came together to, I think we need to laugh. We
Hmm.
need to be able to still find joy and laugh and kind of maybe change the focus, change your brain for a little bit without feeling guilty. To be able to be like, okay, I'm going to, whether you love or hate the Patriots and the Seahawks, you can focus on that on, a couple of Sundays coming up. But something like this, the musical, can just, Ball Boys, a musical, I'm just so looking forward to. because we all need it. We need the laughs. We need to be able to go out there and kind of blow off steam rather than just sit on the couch and stare into space and realize I haven't even been scrolling. I've just been sitting. Like I need to laugh.
It's
So
good
I know
for us.
I love that you have a heartbeat on humor to be able to bring this to people. So thank you. I really appreciate
Thank
that.
you. You're too kind. Yeah, I can't wait to share more of it with you and with more people. So we'll definitely share more about the events coming up in April, and then as this develops too. But yeah, there's joy in community, right? And I think I read this recently, and I brought it up during Morning Sit After Dark. But joy is a form of resistance, right? Like when you feel oppressed or when you feel like there's walls closing in, to be able to seek the joy in being alive. There's nothing more powerful, I don't think. And so that's something we have to choose to seek. And some days it's a lot harder than others. But I believe that making art and sharing it with people, and goofy songs about how field hockey sucks. That's one of the songs that I show, by the way, which is just, again, you run 5 miles to hit the ball twice. We have stuff like that. Again, it's just meant to bring some levity to things. And yeah, and I think it's super important in our lives to be able to laugh together. Like, think of going to movies as a kid, and everyone in the audience. I remember seeing something. It was something about Mary in the theater, right? And
Oh
just
yeah.
the riotous laughter, and it picks you up too. I mean, think of what phones and Netflix, you don't get that as much, right? It's harder to see. And so to be in a room with people laughing is, what better thing is that? I can't find too much else I enjoy more.
I can't believe you just brought up something about Mary, because literally, I think it was a day, it might have been yesterday. Days are like blurring right now. It was either
I
yesterday
know.
or the day before. One of my colleagues had makeup in her hair. She goes, "Yeah, I've got this
Oh
makeup
no.
in my hair." I go, "Is that something about Mary or what?" And she's like, "No, it's makeup." So yes, it was just very funny. So I don't
Oh,
think
it's
I've
great.
said that movie title in probably like 10 years. So the fact that
Yeah,
I've
parts
heard
of it
it
have not
twice and
aged
like,
as well. Yeah.
yeah, so funny.
But just the spirit. I remember even seeing was this Fish Called Wanda. That was another one. That's the farce,
Yes.
right? And it's so funny. And I remember seeing it in a theater in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and just dying laughing, and just made it that much funnier to have other people losing it too. So yeah, that's part of our aspiration. It's just, in fun and heart too. Have some humor and heart. Getting those two things together is a good challenge, and something we're loving striving toward.
Well, before I let you go, on a different topic, you mentioned it kind of a little bit off the top, just a bit lighthearted. I know some people just automatically assume that you're going to be rooting for the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And, when people ask me a question about sports, it's very difficult to get a short answer out of me, usually for a lot of things. But people ask me like, "Oh, what's your favorite sport?" And I'm like, "Well, to watch or or to work." People are like, "What?" I go, "To watch or cover." And they're like, "Watch." I'm like, "In person or on TV?" And they're like, "Oh God, I asked the wrong person all these questions," right? Because for me, sports is very specific. For a New Englander who doesn't live in New England, sometimes it's a little more nuanced with who they're rooting for, but you can never rip your heart away from your hometown. So I asked this as a setup to, are you going for Sam Darnold or are you going for Drake May?
I mean, there's absolutely zero questioning on that, right? Like, this is, and I will say this, like, I'm from New Hampshire, so the Patriots, and I tell my students this all the time because they might think I'm a, bandwagoner or something, because I wear gear. I'm actually wearing a James White shirt underneath today. I'm not even kidding.
Very
What a
nice.
player. Wisconsin Badger.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching the Patriots when they were 2-14. And we had, Marv Cook as our, one Pro Bowler in like 8 years. I mean, you should have seen the run of quarterbacks that came through Foxborough. It was a disastrous franchise. Fluke Super Bowl in '86 got absolutely defenestrated by the Bears. Never thought we'd be back, right? And in the context of this, Don, was the failure of the Red Sox, which is really and truly, right, the team in New England. Like, I know the Patriots have had this unbelievable run, but I think if you pushed most people to say what really their heart is in, right, I think they have to say the Sox. Like, that's just what you grow up with, and the pain of that too. So yeah, so I'm fully for the Patriots, but I will say this for Minnesota fans. I believe the Timberwolves have a shot to get there in the short term. They have an amazing
Yes.
coach. They have a really strong program. I know Tim Connolly is really smart. I truly believe the Wolves will be the team that breaks them back in because it's been a long journey, and I really feel for that too. It's brutal, but yeah, it's Drake, it's Mike Vrabel, who was our player. I mean,
Oh my
I
goodness, right?
and now we're underdogs. No one wants the Patriots as underdogs. What could be more insufferable to the whole of the United States? But I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be fun. But yeah, that is my heart. Go Pats.
And, I'm glad that you brought that up. Someone had asked me, I was on one of our digital shows, the afternoon shift with Adam Lawrence the other day, and he was
Sure.
saying something about being, inseparable. Oh, okay, well, it's been 5 minutes since you haven't had a championship. And I said, when I was growing up, the only team that I ever witnessed win anything, hand to my heart, honest to God, were the Celtics. I didn't see anything else. I said everything else was bad. I said the radio station WBCN in Boston every year when the Red Sox were officially out of the playoffs would have a wake, and they would have a
They
hearse
sure
going
did.
around Fenway Park. I said, listen, we're honest if we're anything in Boston, right? We're loyal, but if you're dead, you're dead. And we will mourn it, and we will say that you're terrible. And that was like what I grew up with. And so I said,
Yes.
why I really understand Minnesota sports fans is because of what you went through. That's what I grew up with. My mom, other than the Patriots, her next favorite team was the Minnesota Vikings. And then back then, the Dolphins. And I was like, what? Like, I don't get it. And she said, Dawn Marie, I love myself a good underdog. And, I was little. I didn't even know it. Like, underdog was the cartoon, right? You're like, what? So you figure it out as you get older. And so now I try to explain that to people. I didn't see Bobby Orr when that was before my time when the Bruins won. And so, I left town, then I went to, did my little tour of the other cities in the Midwest before I ended up in Minnesota. But I was in Chicago 5 years, and they didn't win anything. The year I left, I got here in November of 2004, that first spring training. And then that year, Ozzie Guillen, the team that I had covered for 5 years, the White Sox won the World Series. So, Torrey Hunter is like, when are you leaving? Like, it seems like everywhere you go, they lose, because I get here and the Timberwolves hadn't been in the playoffs since KG's Western Conference Championship run. So at first I thought it was me, and thank you Lynx for winning, and college teams for winning. I thought, oh no, it's the Mitchell jinx. I leave town and then people win. But I understand that feeling of saying, yeah, the last championship I knew as a kid was when the Celtics won. And
Yeah.
and that pain, and then that I go, you guys didn't have a curse. I swear, Minnesota, you just need to name the curse for your sports and then defeat it. The Red Sox had the curse of the Bambino. You hunted it down, you killed it. The Cubs, when I was in Chicago, curse of the goat, they hunted it down, killed it. Not the goat. They didn't kill the goat. Just to be clear, I'm talking about the curse. The curse.
That's right.
So
symbolically.
I think I took part in maybe getting rid of the curse of the Bambino, because my last year in Chicago, I went to a Halloween party and dressed up. And I think it was the last Halloween party I've actually been able to go to and dress up in my life. So this is a long time ago. I dressed up as the curse of the Bambino.
As the curse itself. What was your attire? Did you dress up as Babe Ruth?
I had a red felt big cape, and I had little baby Ruths pinned all over it. And I let my friends write swear words all over me.
Oh,
and
Bucky Dent's name appeared.
Yeah. I carried Shaughnessy's book, The Curse of the Bambino, with me. And I had my lucky Red Sox hat on. And people are like, what in tarnation are you? I was like, I am the curse of the Bambino. And people are like, what? And then that next Halloween, I said, see, there is no more curse. It worked.
It worked.
So,
you exorcised it. Yes.
Thank
you for
indeed.
that, by the way. Thank
so
you.
Name a curse, Minnesota. I don't know if you need to specifically do one for, the Timberwolves and a separate one for the Vikings. But I just think, sometimes people just do forget that we do understand. I understand. And so I feel for Minnesotans. And that's kind of why would I love the Patriots to win again? Correct, I would. But I also would love it for Sam Darnold because I know him. I covered him. I know what it took for him to get back. But then I also, Garrett Bradbury, who's kind of lost in the shuffle here, he was the center for 6 years. I knew him as a rookie and his back injuries and all of this. He's now in New England, behind Drake May.
He's been a rock. He's been great.
Diggs.
Yeah.
He's there. And people love or hate Diggsy on and off the field. He was fantastic to me. So that's why I'm saying, I'm like, well, if we're just going for me as a little girl from New England, yes, it's the Patriots. But if you're going for me professionally, I would have to, and people like, just shut up.
Yeah, you're spoiled baby there. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like,
no, I
okay.
know. Yeah. No, I can never put aside my childhood loyalties. It's how we get raised, and we just can't help it. But you're right. It's there's some great stories for this one, and I think it's going to be a good game. I do think it's going to go back and forth, and Drake May's been playing in some, not to make excuses, no one wants to hear that, but it's been some weird elements in weather and some very good defenses. So it should be a fun event. I think there's going to be things that happen like in every Super Bowl that we won't foresee, and there's any number of possibilities, but it's going to be a blast. And you get nervous. Again, this sounds like privilege, but right, this is when I start to get nervous about the Super Bowl this weekend, because the content comes up about the backup long snapper, and you got to read his biography, right, and all the press stuff. And the octopus points at the winner and all those things.
Oh my goodness!
That come up, but it is quite fun too. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm excited.
It is. I do want it to be a good game. I hate blowouts in the Super Bowl, especially. So, yes, be a good game.
We never do that. Patriots never have a blowout. We never have a blowout. That is one thing that I can say. Big picture, we've offered entertaining Super Bowls. Not always going the way the public would like, but there's never been a blowout.
Yeah. Well, they have.
There was one. There was one.
Right.
We came back. No one wants to hear this. People are just they're throwing their phones in Lake Harriet right now.
They're like, stop it. We can't listen to these insufferable New Englanders. We love.
They've won too much.
Love Minnesota. Well, Jim Mahoney, thank you so much. For anyone listening, if you want to, it's ballboysmusical.com. Go on the website, follow it. Definitely, I want to know about it in April. So remind me, because I definitely want to see stuff that's here. And I hope you get a tour. And I hope the tour stops through here in Minnesota on the back end. So that would be great.
It's really exciting. I really appreciate you having me, and I love your podcast, and just really want to say thank you for including this and featuring some arts as you think about sports and life. I mean, it's all connected, I think. So really appreciate what you do, and just always good to chat as ever.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And we will see you on the other side of the net.
Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Thanks, Tom.